If you're in the market for a resale home in Las Vegas, don't buy one until you've watched this video, because being a person who has bought multiple resale homes in this area, I want to share the top 10 lessons I've learned through my experiences. If you're new to my channel, I want to give you a little bit of background information just for context. So I started buying homes in Las Vegas way back in 1998, and I've owned upwards of 10 homes, and 5 of them were resales and 5 of them were either new construction or I was building a custom home. So I have a lot of experience in this area, and I want to share with you the things that I've learned to look out for and things that can end up saving you a lot of money down the road. Of course, the things that I've learned through my experiences, I tend to share with my clients. So my goal here today is to share these things with you as though I'm walking through a transaction real time with you. And one of the first things I like to do for my clients is to check the age of all of the major appliances. Now, I'm talking about indoor appliances such as the kitchen and the washer and dryer and things of that nature, but I'm also talking about your hot water heater and your ACs. These tickets are really big ticket items. And a lot of times what happens is, of course, we're going to do an inspection and those items are working just fine during the inspection. But if you don't know the date or age of those appliances, what can end up happening is you move in, and if you have a 20-year-old air handler, in Las Vegas or anywhere where there's extreme temperatures, you can pretty much guarantee that that unit is going to break in the next couple years. So when you're purchasing, don't you want to know if you're going to have to spend, ACs cost somewhere around $10,000 a unit, and most homes in Las Vegas have more than one AC. So you're talking about $20,000 or $30,000 that you're going to need to invest in new ACs that could have been renegotiated if you knew those ACs were 20 years old or sometimes even older. If you're wondering how you can proactively look for these dates, they're generally on like metal nameplates that are affixed to the water heater and the outside condensing units for the ACs. And then inside appliances such as kitchens and washers and dryers, there's usually on the little nameplate, there's a serial number and a model number. And if you Google those, you can find the date of manufacture, which will help you know roundabout when they were installed. Perfect example is actually on one of my listings, my client had 2 AC units. He replaced one and had the second one repaired. Well, during the buyer's inspection, the inspector pointed out the age of the unit. And although it was working fine, and my seller did go and have an AC company look at it to make sure it was working, the buyer actually decided to have another HVAC company come in and do a second inspection, where that inspector revealed the age of the second unit that hadn't been replaced. At that time, we renegotiated the contract. My seller paid for a brand new unit, and now the buyer doesn't have to worry about that down the road. So it does happen, and it's just something that I think is very important and a nice proactive step to know the age of all of your major appliances. Something else to consider when purchasing a resale home are the HOA dues. A lot of people don't factor this in when buying a home and end up overextending themselves through their monthly payments. HOAs can really be a blessing or a curse, and when you're purchasing a resale, especially if you have plans to change anything on the exterior of the home, including landscape, softscape, and hardscape, you are going to want to be very familiar with what regulations your HOA has on those types of things. If you're planning to buy a home and do these major changes to it, but the HOA's CC&Rs restrict you from half the changes you want to do, you're going to be really upset once you move into that house because you can't do anything you had originally planned. And HOAs can have restrictions on the types of plants you put in, the percentage of softscape versus hardscape, if you're allowed real grass versus turf. So these are things you're definitely going to want to check into, and also the cost of your HOA dues, because not every listing has the correct dues put into it. So you're going to want to be sure that your agent verifies all of the fees and that you take special care to go over the HOA documents when you receive them. Also, look into any architectural review committee restrictions, because sometimes they have very specific ways they want you to apply for your changes. And if you don't know them inside and out, it can really delay your project. One thing I learned that is really important to get down or make sure works for you is floor plan. Floor plan is everything, because it's really difficult to change once the house is built. Sure, you might be able to move a wall or two, but not every wall is movable and not every room is expandable. So I learned to really take my time and walk through the house and really concentrate on how my family would live about in that current floor plan. I picture everything from dinner time, breakfast time, bed and bath time. Remember, not every house even has a bathtub. So really paying attention to these little things are very important. I'm not even ashamed to ask to go back to that house several times. But I have learned that one of the best times to really spend time in the house is inspection day. Inspections usually take about 3 to 4 hours. So that's the time that I encourage my buyers, and I as a buyer take time to really sit and walk the property, really focus on how, after school is going to be run, homework, how am I going to do my office work? What's it going to be like when my kids are in the playroom and I'm cooking dinner? Or can I see the TV if I'm washing dishes and be part of the family while they're relaxing after dinner watching TV? Those are all things that are very important to do. And I know this may seem like overkill to some of you, but you're about to make one of the biggest purchases of your life, and it's going to be a place that you're going to spend the most of your life in. So why not take the extra time to be sure you know that this is going to work out for you? Another thing that gets overlooked a lot is the age of the pool equipment, the pool plaster, and the pool tile. Pool equipment gets overlooked a lot, and it's equally as expensive as an AC unit. So to me, it's equally as important. This is another thing that you can check the age on just through the manufacturer serial number. A pool guy can even get that information for you. But I've overlooked this, and I actually overlooked this on my last house, and I didn't think about it, and I ended up having to spend an additional $25,000 in pool equipment because it was going to break in the near future, so I went ahead and replaced it anyway. But I would never want that to happen to one of my clients. So this is always something I ask the inspector to check for me, because there's nothing worse, again, than moving into a house with a brand new mortgage payment and all the costs that come with moving and setting up a new home than to have to spend an extra $20,000 on pool equipment so you can enjoy the pool you just purchased. I don't know about you, but I can walk into almost any house and find at least 5 things that I want to change to personalize and customize the house to more of my style and needs. So I've learned to take an inventory of those small renovations that you want to do and keep a running tally, and add 20% to that because it never stays within budget. Before I get to number 6, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lisa Lopez. I'm a licensed real estate consultant and I specialize in luxury real estate. If you like this video so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So my 6th tip is that you look at all of the finish work and the quality of construction and materials used throughout the house. Bottom line is, 9 times out of 10, if you see poor finish work, it means there's poor quality construction underneath. This could be an entire video in itself, so for time's sake, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But bottom line is, crappy finish work generally means crappy construction underneath. Another thing you're going to want to take note of is the age of the windows. Now, a window might seem like just a window, but it really isn't. And when you're talking about resale homes, if your windows or the home is over 20 years old and the windows haven't been replaced, you should really factor in the cost of replacing the windows. I know it might seem like they're doing their job, and yeah, they're probably keeping the breeze out or, rocks from flying in on a windy day, but they also are there to provide energy efficiencies. And if they're over 20 years old, they're no longer providing you the insulation that they should be. So you should factor in needing to change those windows in the next few years if the home is over 20 years old and the windows haven't been changed. And windows can be a very costly expense. If you think about the amount of work that's entailed, they don't just replace glass. They actually have to cut stucco, which means they have to cut drywall because it's an inside-outside piece of material. So it creates a lot of work and expense. So it's definitely something to budget in when thinking about buying this particular home you're looking at. I'm curious to know if you have any home buying tips that you've learned over the years. If you have any, share them with me in the comments below. This next one is really gross, but has personally affected me. Living in Vegas, I never thought that we'd have to worry about rodent or insect infestations. But we definitely do. I was definitely wrong with that, because if you aren't new to my channel, you've seen that the last house that I purchased had a rodent infestation. So this is something that I now discuss with my inspectors before they complete the inspection, because I want to be sure that they specifically look in the attic for rodents. This is where my inspector found 15 dead and trapped rats. It's definitely knowledge that I've used and passed along to help my buyers when they're purchasing their homes. And boy, when it comes down to the very end of your transaction, there are just so many little things you don't think about. This again personally happened to me. Window coverings. Not many people think about window coverings. Does your house come with window coverings? If it does, how many window coverings? Do all the bedrooms have window coverings? What kind of window coverings? There are so many things to consider, because coverings of your windows provide privacy. Well, on my very first house, way back in 1998, I purchased a spec home. So a builder here in town had one home left in the neighborhood and it was standing inventory. Well, I purchased it, and it being my first home, I was very tight on cash. When I realized I needed them, we went ahead and ordered them and thought, oh, we'll just throw it on the credit card. Well, after my window guy installed every blind, he told me he didn't take credit cards and I needed to pay cash. So I learned my lesson. I always make sure that I verify what window coverings come with a house, and if I'm going to have to put some in, how much that will end up costing and what I need to budget for it. And I still work with that same blind guy to this day. He does all my window coverings and has done many of my clients as well. And staying on that same topic with getting down to the very end nitty-gritty part of the transaction, know all of your expenses. Purchasing a house is not just your mortgage payment. There are many other things involved. Sometimes there's PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, which is necessary for most loans when you're not putting more than 20% down. So this too adds to the cost of your monthly payment, as well as taxes and insurance. And in Las Vegas, a lot of our neighborhoods have HOAs. Some of them have more than one HOA. And so making sure that you have the number of HOAs, the proper amount of dues that's due and how often it's due. Some are due monthly and some are due quarterly. And we also have this other thing here called a special improvement district. A SID is a fee that was charged to the builder and then passed on to the buyer, and it keeps going down the line until it's paid off. But it's a fee that's charged to bring all of the infrastructure and utilities to that property or neighborhood. So each house in that neighborhood will have its own special improvement district charge, and it's based upon the square footage of your lot in most cases. I hope you were able to get at least one takeaway through my past experiences and mistakes. And if this has raised any questions that you may have for your real estate journey, wherever that may be, I'd love to come alongside you and help. You can reach out to me via text, email, or phone anytime, and all of my information is in the description. For more videos about Las Vegas or about customizing your next new build project, make sure to check out one of the videos around me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.